Hello bestie, welcome back to my channel. Can we talk? Have you ever ignored that tight feeling in your chest telling you something was off? That quiet yet persistent inner voice trying to warn you that something didn't make sense, even when everything looked perfect on the outside? Have you ever stayed in a relationship that looked perfect to everyone else, but drained you from the inside out? Well, recently the influencer Wizard Liz broke up with her ex-fiance Landon Nickerson. A story that, beyond the scandal, exposes some truths many of us would rather not see. And let me tell you, this video isn't just about her. It's about me. It's about you. It's about all of us who have ever loved someone more than we listen to ourselves. And maybe this is your chance not to repeat the same story. So if you're ready for a mental, physical, and spiritual glow up, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Just like Wizard Liz, women who stand out for their inner strength, emotional intelligence, and success usually carry a magnetic energy. They're seen as whole, independent, driven. It's inspiring. But for insecure men, it can also feel deeply threatening. Emotionally immature men, the ones who haven't built solid self-esteem yet, are often drawn to the shine of these women at first. They see them as impressive, challenging, and think that being with someone like that might elevate them socially or emotionally. But that admiration often turns into discomfort. That's because the presence of a confident woman acts like a mirror, reflecting without even trying their insecurities, flaws, and emotional gaps. And that's when the dynamic turns toxic. They start off charming, full of compliments, attention, support. But over time, you start hearing those little sarcastic comments, criticism disguised as advice, and actions that slowly chip away at that woman's self-esteem. It always starts subtly, with small remarks and suggestions that seem like just opinions. But they're not. They're control tactics. They're little signs of how uncomfortable he is with her power. Because deep down, he doesn't want to stand next to a powerful woman, he wants to feel more powerful than her. What begins as admiration becomes competition. He tries to assert himself, dominate, push her to shrink. And a lot of times, the woman plays along without even noticing, thinking she's being patient, supportive, or helping him feel better. To men like this, being with a strong woman feels like winning a trophy, something that validates their own worth. But the problem is, trophies aren't supposed to have a mind of their own. And when that woman shows she has a voice, independence, opinions, and power, the admiration turns into threat. And what they can't control, they try to break. This dynamic is way more common than we think. And often, it gets romanticized. People call it cute jealousy when it's actually possessiveness. They say he's just trying to protect you when really he's trying to isolate you. They call it care when it's really control. And the consequence? Amazing, talented, radiant women start doubting themselves. They start staying quiet to avoid fights. They start dimming their light so they don't intimidate their partner. And eventually, they lose touch with who they are. Intuition is more than a gut feeling or some vague vibe. It's an emotional and neurological defense system built on experience, perception, and the ability to read behavior and situations deeply. It's like a quiet kind of emotional intelligence that catches what your eyes can't, tiny gestures, pauses in their voice, tone shifts, subtle contradictions between what they say and what they actually do. It kicks in fast, almost automatically, and usually shows up way before your mind starts justifying everything with logic. But here's the thing, so many women were taught from a young age not to trust themselves. They were taught to be polite, understanding, patient, trained to give second chances, to ignore that gut feeling when something felt way too good to be true. Instead of listening to their own inner voice, they learn to tune in louder to someone else's, especially when that someone shows up with charm, sweetness, or promises of a perfect future. How many times have you felt uncomfortable in a relationship but brushed it off because he didn't technically do anything wrong? Or because everything seemed so great in the beginning? That's exactly where the danger is. Intuition is like emotional GPS. It might not show you the whole route, but it definitely warns you when you're about to turn into a dark, dangerous, or dead-end street. Ignoring those signals is like turning off Waze in the middle of an unfamiliar highway. Sure, you can keep driving, but your chances of getting lost go way up. And the cost of that, emotionally, is usually high pain, confusion, low self-esteem, and in more extreme cases, toxic or abusive relationships. Psychology studies show that intuition, especially in women, is the result of a highly developed social and emotional awareness. This isn't mysticism, it's science. Women are socially conditioned to observe others' behavior as a way of staying safe. That gives them a unique sensitivity for sensing when something's off. The problem is when that inner wisdom gets ignored out of fear of seeming dramatic, suspicious, or paranoid. And do you know what else? A lot of manipulators know this. They know that if they're nice enough in the beginning, if they say the right things, they can make you doubt yourself. They confuse you on purpose, creating a disconnect between what you see and what you feel. And then your intuition starts screaming. But you shut it down, scared to lose someone who, deep down, was never really yours. Wizard Liz isn't just a digital influencer. She's become a powerful voice in the movement for self-worth and female empowerment. With millions of followers on social media, Liz built her platform on authenticity, vulnerability, and strength. Her videos go viral because she speaks straight to the pain and power of women who are learning to put themselves first. She talks about self-love as a daily practice, about not settling for emotional crumbs, about healthy boundaries, and about walking away from anything that makes us smaller, including relationships. That's why it hits so hard when, just a few days ago, she went public with the announcement that she had broken off her engagement to Landon Nickerson. Landon, also a public figure and successful entrepreneur, was seen as the perfect match: handsome, ambitious, charismatic, and apparently head over heels for Liz. Together, they looked like a dream couple to many fans. But the reality, like it so often is on social media, was very different from the image. Liz revealed she ended the relationship for a heartbreaking reason: cheating. According to her, there was a level of betrayal so deep that it couldn't be repaired. And more than the act itself, what hurt the most was the disrespect for everything they had been building together. The way Liz shared that pain was incredibly powerful. She didn't make a scene. She spoke with calm, with sadness, but also with strength. She said she ignored the signs, that she felt her intuition trying to warn her.
Forgiveness is a big thing. So if you have ever had a trust issue come up, you got to learn how to forgive and work through that. Otherwise, that'll just turn into crippling insecurity that you suffer with.
Depends what the trust issue was. If the person is like texting other people.
Yeah, well, there's different degrees of severity for sure.
But like so many women, she wanted to believe the best. Even so, in the end, she chose the most important kind of love: self-love. That revelation shook the internet. Because if even Wizard Liz, the woman who teaches other women not to settle for less than they deserve, could be fooled, then anyone can. But that's exactly what makes her message even more real. She's not perfect, and she never pretended to be. She's human, and that makes her even more inspiring. Liz turned her pain into strength once, and she'd do it again, showing that no matter how much someone promises you the world, if they don't respect your soul, you have to walk away. She reminded us that even when you love, even with plans and dreams, a woman can always, and should always, choose herself. Emotional abuse doesn't always show up as yelling, open betrayal, or physical violence. Actually, the most dangerous signs are the subtle ones. Those small feelings of discomfort we try to explain away. You know what the biggest red flag in a relationship is? That's silent discomfort. The feeling of walking on eggshells around someone who's supposed to be your safe space. Let's talk about some of these signs clearly. Lack of consistency between what he says and what he does. This is one of the first signs that something's off. He says he loves you but doesn't show it through his actions. Says you're amazing but never supports your goals. Promises to change but keeps repeating the same patterns. This emotional inconsistency messes with our heads because we get stuck on the sweet words, even when the actions are screaming the opposite. The confusion here isn't a lack of clarity on his part, it's emotional manipulation. Comments that sound like jokes but put you down. You're smart for a woman. Feeling yourself just cause you got that job? Relax, it was just a joke. Can't take a joke? These jokes are microaggressions in disguise. They're subtle ways to chip away at your confidence without taking any responsibility. Any joke that makes you second-guess yourself isn't lighthearted, it's manipulation dressed up as humor. Control disguised as protection. He says he cares about you, but criticizes your clothes. Says he's jealous because he loves you too much, but makes you feel guilty for going out with your friends. He asks where you are all the time, but calls it caring. That's not care. That's surveillance. Insecure men try to pass control off as protection, and it grows little by little. At first, it feels like intense love, and then you realize you're living in an emotional cage. Social isolation masked as closeness. You don't need them, you've got me. Your best friend doesn't like me, better stay away from him. You've changed since you started hanging out with your sister. These lines might seem harmless at first, but the real goal is to isolate you. Before you know it, you've distanced yourself from your friends, stopped listening to your family, and stopped chasing your own dreams. The more isolated you are, the more vulnerable you become. And a healthy relationship will never pull you away from your loved ones. It brings you closer. Why do we ignore these signs? Because in the beginning, we were bombarded with affection. We got compliments, constant messages, promises of forever love. That's called love bombing, a manipulation tactic where someone speeds up emotional attachment with over-the-top love displays. You feel special, one of a kind, loved like never before. And that creates such a strong contrast with the red flags that you start thinking you're overreacting. That emotional overload makes you stop trusting your own instincts. If you've gone through something like what we talked about here, know that you are not alone. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt your intuition screaming and still stayed? What did you learn from it? Your experience might inspire and empower other women who are going through the same thing right now. If you made it this far, this is your sign. The moment to flip the switch is now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I love you, bye.